Darrell Brooks. Objection. 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 Hello, I'm HG Tudor, continuing to analyse and explain excerpts from the Darrell Brooks trial. This gives you an extraordinary and useful view of how a lesser narcissist behaves, both generally and in the courtroom. There will be some of you listening who have been involved in litigation with a narcissist. Commonly, divorce, separation of assets, child custody, less common, neighbour disputes, suing to recover money, suing to recover property, obtaining perhaps a judicial decree with regard to your rights. However, you will all probably be aware of the frustration that you experience when you have a narcissist as an opponent, whether they are suing you or whether you are suing them. And therefore, to be able to see these behaviours in action, but also understand what's actually going on, and furthermore, in terms of understanding the rights and wrong responses, this is gold-plated material and is extremely useful. Moreover, it also assists even for those of you who have perhaps not been in a litigation scenario, but in terms of just generally dealing with a lesser narcissist. Here we have some more footage, which demonstrates more aspects of the narcissistic dynamic and also demonstrates how certain narcissists really do keep on digging when they ought to stop. Here comes the footage.
It was broken.
Objection, leading, speculative.
Overruled as to both.
That's
The witness
not what
may
he said.
answer.
Sí. Yes.
And you had torn ligaments.
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
You didn't say that in the question before.
Sí. Yes.
And were those both in the same leg?
Objection, leading.
Sí.
Sorry,
Yes.
overruled. If we
Of course.
just wait when there's an objection. I'm overruling it. It's relevant. It's not leading. The witness's answers may stand.
I mean, yeah, you overrule every objection.
And the jury will disregard the additional commentary made by Mr. Brooks at this time.
Judicial misconduct at its finest.
And which leg was that, sir?
Objection, asked and answered.
Overruled. You may answer.
Voy a contestar la pregunta. El pie izquierdo. My left leg.
Did you have to have surgery on that leg?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Sí.
Let's
Yes.
see what y'all
Just one?
Nada más una cirugía.
trying to get here.
Dos. Two.
That's not going to work either.
Mr. Brooks, you are advised to stop with the commentary.
No, I'm going to say what I want
You
to say.
called this witness. I'm going to take a break right now and excuse the jury and this witness.
All right.
What you doing is judicial misconduct. Judicial misconduct. But you don't want the jury to hear the truth. That's not fair to the jury. They have a right to hear everything. Not finna sit here and let you fix the trial because you don't want to tell the truth to the jury.
Mr. Brooks, please stop.
No, there ain't no please.
You are
nothing.
being disruptive.
Ain't
You
no
are being
please, nigga.
disrespectful.
You always
The
gonna
witness
find
may
some
step
reason to
down.
say somebody's being disruptive because they want the truth to be out there. Man, quit it. You supposed to be the
Mr.
judge.
Brooks, I'm advising you that continued interruptions will result in you forfeiting your right to be
Okay,
present
and
in this courtroom.
under what law and
during
fact can you do that?
Illinois versus Allen.
Okay,
sir.
what the fourth option that you made up that's not even in the law?
Mr.
Because you
Brooks,
can't do that.
I need to make a
By law, you
ruling.
can't do that.
I need to
And
make
you
a
know you
finding.
can't.
All right, I'm going to excuse everyone. Mr. Brooks is being removed from the courtroom. He will continue in the neighboring courtroom. Please make sure he has his objection signed and a pad of paper.
So is that
he can.
so is that holding me in
meaningfully
contempt?
participate, and I will make a ruling when I.
So are
after
you
we
holding
come
me in
back up.
contempt? Is that civil or criminal?
Well, it's clear that Darrell Brooks has attended the TV School of Law because he thinks that throwing in an objection on nearly every occasion is the way to handle his case. Indeed, in the course of the first part of this short piece of footage, there are at least 5 objections that are thrown in by him. We see a witness who has an interpreter, and the state prosecutor is examining this witness. The first question is asked of the witness. It seems fairly innocuous. It relates to injuries. And immediately there is an objection from Brooks. Leading, speculative. It's overruled. Another question, another objection. Leading, overruled. He intersperses this with, "You said that any question." Then there's another question that comes in. He objects again, this on the basis of it being leading. He's overruled once again. The judge explains why that is. The footage cuts to Brooks and we can see him shaking his head. Naturally, he doesn't agree with what the judge is saying. It's challenge fuel. Then, because he's in victim mode as always, Brooks announces, "Yeah, you overrule every objection." Now, I don't know whether that's the case, because I haven't been following. Certainly many of his objections, because they're completely ridiculous, are being overruled. But I suspect not every single objection necessarily has been. And if they have, well, it's been done with due cause. Naturally, the victim mentality of Brooks is, "You're picking on me, you big meanie judge. You're nasty to me when I object, and of course, I'm Perry Mason. I've watched LA Law. I know what I'm talking about. I know my shit. Hell, I even watched some of that Kavanagh QC from Englandshire at one point." He understands that he is a lawyer. He believes that. Why? Well, he didn't have an attorney represent him. He thinks he knows better. Such is his arrogance. Such is the way that he's blinded to his own shortcomings. This is his narcissism writ large, causing him to believe that he's far more effective, far more potent than he actually is. Naturally, he complains that he's being picked on by the judge because his narcissism tells him that he is. He doesn't look at it and think, "Fuck me, I'm a shit lawyer. I don't know what I'm doing. No wonder she's overruling me." No, he has no such insight or balance. Quite simply, it's this. Every single time I say objection, you should sustain it, because I'm right. And the very fact that you're overruling me tells me that you're biased, engaged in judicial misconduct, and you're simply not a nice person. This is a more rudimentary basis of the way that Harry's wife behaves. What? You're criticising me? Me, the Duchess of Sussex, the Empress of Woke, the angel of all empaths? How could you? How dare you? That must mean that you're racist. She, like him, cannot comprehend that they have any fault whatsoever. The footage continues. The judge says the jury will disregard the additional commentary from Mr. Brooks. He, of course, won't let that go because it's challenge fuel. His sense of control is being subconsciously affected. His narcissism leads him to open his trap once more. It's judicial misconduct at its finest, he bleats. He objects again on the next question on the basis of being asked and answered. He's overruled. He objects again, saying it's a leading question. He's overruled again. He mutters to himself, "That's not going to work either." The judge interjects. "You are advised to stop with the commentary." Immediately, Brooks, demonstrating through the application of ignited fury his sense of entitlement and defiance. "I'm going to say what I want." He shows no respect for the judge, no respect for the courtroom, no respect for the attorney. It's simply, he's allowed to say what he wants and when he wants, and if you don't, there's something wrong with you. He starts to speak, or rather the judge starts to speak, and he immediately jumps in, talking over her, saying, "This is judicial misconduct. You don't want the jury to hear the truth." Now, of course, at this juncture, the judge has decided, well, that's enough. We're going to clear the court now. And of course, as a consequence of saying that threatens his sense of control. He doesn't look at it and go, "Bugger, I've gone too far again and brought it on myself." He's incapable of seeing that. So instead, in order to try and nullify the threat to control, he starts insulting and berating. "This is judicial misconduct. You don't want the jury to hear the truth. That's not fair. The jury have the right to hear everything. Nothing to see here. I'm not going to let you fix the trial because you don't want to tell the truth to the jury." The exasperated judge says, Mr. Brooks, please stop. She would be better not trying to ask him, because politeness is not going to get her anywhere with him. She might as well have spoken in Swahili to him, for all of the regard that he'll have to what she's actually saying. No, you're always going to find some reason to be that I'm disruptive. You're supposed to be the judge, he rambles on. The judge then explains that as a consequence of his continued interruption, he's going to forfeit the right to continue to represent himself in the courtroom. And therefore, she is going to have the court cleared and that he is going to be removed to the other courtroom. Immediately, again, because this is a threat to control, he jumps in. Under what law, in fact, can you do that? She cites Illinois against Allen. I think she will probably dream about that case at night, the number of times that she's mentioned it. Brooks fights back with the fourth option is not in that. You can't do that. The judge, again, having had enough of his behaviour, states, I'm going to excuse everyone. Mr. Brooks will be removed from the courtroom. Make sure he has his objection signs. Are you holding me in contempt? Is that civil or criminal, he asks, desperate once again to have the last word, as the footage then ends, showing us the time on the clock. Once again, as a consequence of the behaviours of Brooks, he cuts his nose off to spite the face. He doesn't know when to stop. And because he thinks he's right and the judge is wrong and he's incapable of seeing anything else, he keeps going and going and going until he's told he's forfeiting his right to remain in the courtroom. Therefore, he's going to be removed elsewhere so that he has to sit there, invariably muted, holding up his sign for objection, in an attempt, of course, to influence the proceedings from afar. This will undoubtedly impact upon the efficacy of his ability, although not much, because his performance is utterly incompetent to begin with. But the point is this. He would do better to stay in the courtroom. He would do better, of course, to keep his mouth shut. He's not endearing himself to anybody in that courtroom, but he can't see it, because his narcissism tells him, they're all against me anyway. They all hate me. This judge is completely engaging in misconduct. He doesn't understand the meaning of the word. She's got it in for me. She's a cheat. She's a fixer. She doesn't want the jury to know the truth. Of course, as ever, as a narcissist, it's his truth, which is not representative of the truth that the evidence demonstrates. Another example of the lesser in action, showing his argumentative style, talking over people, interrupting, his inability to stop himself, his ignited heated fury, and the fact also that as a consequence of his very low cognitive function, the man is an utter dickhead to boot in terms of representing himself. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for watching.